All right, so now I've got the mounts placed and the bimini on the raft. I like using loop straps to keep the bimini top instead of like a hard pull or anything like that. So I've got it mounted at the center, and then I've got 4 loop straps, 6-foot loop straps in the back, just because of where my D-rings are, and then 4-foot loop straps in the front. This thing then, when I'm not in use or like maybe running a rapid that I don't want it up, or for some reason I have it down, all I have to do is just take the loop straps down, and then fold it forward, and then it's good to go. So I think overall these are great options on very hot trips, canyon trips, stuff. Pros and cons, I would have to say, over like a bimini top over like an umbrella. So I've never personally used an umbrella, but what I do like about them is they're very versatile. If you get a good mount, Recratech out of Corvallis, Oregon, makes a really nice umbrella mount that you can put anywhere around in your rig. And then that umbrella can also come off at camp and then be put on the shore, where a bimini top is stuck to your raft. So I think that is a positive of the umbrella. The downside is because of how you have to mount it to get shade, because it's so small, that a lot of times the rower can't put in my opinion, the rower can't put the umbrella in a spot that's really good for them because it affects their oar movement. The bimini top, I find that I can still properly ship my oars with the bimini top in place. Also, it gives it where my passengers are sitting, and why I really need it. The shade is for my passengers, and where my cooler sits. I feel like the bimini top gives a very wide area to actually give shade, and so I find that as a positive. On catching wind, I don't know which one would be better or worse. This I feel like would do better holding up to the wind, because you have 6 points of attachment, 4 loop straps, and then the metal bars that are going down to the frame. So I would feel very comfortable having this like at camp with a little bit more wind over an umbrella that might fold due to the heavy wind. Last things I probably should talk about is like where to buy these bimini tops and like how to size them. So I think the first thing you're gonna have to do is figure out what your mount situation is. So figure out the mounts first. Spend a week or two researching better mounts. I think Cascade River Gear might have like a mount out there. If you have a very specific, like if you have an NRS or a downriver equipment frame, mounts are going to be incredibly easy for you to find. Better mounts are going to fit, I think, both like all sizes that you will find. For me, that I have a Dusty frame. Dusty just makes it with like skinnier steel tubing instead of aluminum tubing, and so that's why like the mounts don't really fit like everything else. So figure out your mounts. Once you have your mounts figured out, then measure the mount distance, and then go on to Amazon, go on to Cabela's, Bass Pro Shop, some type of outfitting store that sells these things, and they're not that expensive. I think I paid like in the $150 range for this bimini top. And so what I figured out, let's say I measured and they were 54 inches wide. Buy the bimini top that fits wider than your actual mount, because this is just very soft tubing and it will bend. If you buy it narrower than your mounts, it just kind of sits in, it will still fit, but this kind of sits in here weird, and you really want these bars on the outside of your tubes, in my opinion, just for the fact of like rigging and like for ease of like people sitting in your boat, everything like that. So buy the size, and they usually have like size ranges when you buy these bimini tops. So buy the size that's like on the larger side to fit into your mount. So that's what I have. if you think, I just want to like caveat, like, so one, all gear is subjective and it's very specific to the type of boating you're doing and, you know, the type of experience that you want for you and your passengers. If you think sunshades like this are ridiculous to have on your boat, great. But honestly, like, this is one of the things that, like, I feel like I don't really want people to provide their feedback on, because this is a very personal thing. Me personally, like, when I'm in the boat by myself, I don't use shades. I use sun shirts. But for very specific reasons and situations, like, this is something that I will use on a river. So I think this is a very personal decision. If people have them on class 2 rivers, I don't think anyone's wrong. I do feel like you should not have these in technical whitewater, because I don't think you're really understanding what type of equipment you should have for what type of whitewater. Thank you so much for watching. I've appreciated everyone that has subscribed over the past 2 years in this channel. I hope to get out some more good content for you guys.